Queenie had a peep over the right shoulder, and she's going to blow them away. But Northerly, Danny Miller pumping away, and Northerly wins the railway.
Welcome to Racing Rewind. Our panel will review and digest the Prime WA Saturday Thoroughbred meeting from 24 hours earlier. If you have an opinion, send a text to 0427 789 571.
Galaxy Star draws away from them. Pike Magician.
Yes, welcome along to Racing Rewind, 11 past 8 o'clock, 26.1 degrees in town. Good beach weather today, lads.
Certainly is, Mark. Good morning to you, Michael, and listeners. That's where I'll be going today.
Good morning, Lochie, Marty and listeners. A bit of a lull out there yesterday after the carnival finishes. The Perth Cup finished, of course, on Monday, and probably the quietest crowd we've seen on a Saturday in recent memory. It was, I guess a lull's the best way I can describe it. The racing was probably a few lengths inferior to what we've been used to, and it was very hot out there yesterday as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly right. There were small fields all throughout yesterday afternoon. The first 5 races, the maximum starters that faced the judge was 8. So obviously it picked up in the quaddie legs, and our feature of the day was the Easingwold Stakes taken out by Let's Galahvant, and he is just an absolute marvel.
Yeah,
takes his prize money earnings to almost $700,000 for a very, very cheap yielding purchase. And he's been up in work for so long, he just doesn't know how to run a bad race.
Absolutely. The stewards' room, there was a reprimand on Alan Kennedy for when his rider board looks in race 7. Outside of that, I guess the biggest talking point was probably Badua Bell, who was a late withdrawal at 11:50 a.m, was the second favourite for the 2-year-old race. There were only 5 runners in the 2-year-old race, but was scratched by the vets after the filly was deemed to be found shin sore at the races. So then it ended up being scratched, and we had 4 runners, all prepared by Ryan Hill.
It was a really strange feeling on course. So I was actually one of the first people to tell Ryan he had all the saddles in both arms. He walked around the corner, and I had looked at Tab Touch, and just prior to that, actually, I saw a couple horses walking out of the course, which is really strange considering a race hadn't been run. So I checked Tab Touch and see the late scratching, and I said to Ryan, congratulations, you won the first. And he didn't really believe me for a little bit, and I had to show him. And,
for good reason.
Yeah,
Yep.
so... Yeah.
I asked a couple of people yesterday if they've ever seen that before, and they said no, but Neville Parnham said that he can't say for sure, but Roy Edwards, former trainer, used to have a lot of runners in races back in the day, especially 2-year-olds, so there's a chance he may have, going back a long, long time. But as far as he can remember, nothing sprung to mind of having a trainer having the entire field on a Saturday.
Yeah, okay, maybe Ernie Manning, the Oracle. We could catch up with Ern and find out if he's got a recollection of similar happening. But how did the track play throughout the day? Was there a pattern there, Michael?
I thought you definitely wanted to be off-speed second half of the day. That sou'wester ended up coming in. I don't think it was as prevalent or as strong as what was forecast, but just the way the finishes eventuated, I certainly think you wanted to cover and to be back in the field. The first half of the day was difficult to get a guide on. Race 1, it was only a 4-horse 2-year-old race. They didn't even break a minute for the 1,000 metres, so that was always going to be a race that you couldn't really get a pattern on. The second race was a steadily run mile as well. The winner sat outside the leader, and then race 3, we saw King's Parade come from just behind them, 3 back the fence, peeled out beautifully. The favourite sat in the breeze and was beaten a nose, but the rest of the field was largely dominated by those off speed.
Exactly right. I couldn't agree more. I think early on in the day there were a few horses due to those slow tempos that were very unlucky in the box seat. So while some people might think that the outside of the track may have been superior, I just think that was the way that some of the races were shaping early on in the day.
Okay, race number 1, and this was the Magic Millions played over the 1,000 metres.
Come towards the 450. This is the quartet here in the first for the day, and Champagne Coast will straighten up in front. Reaches the point of the home turn, led by a length and a half. Called upon as they straighten for home immediately. London's Image. Champagne Coast giving back as a great sight down to the 200. Drew a length and a half. London's Image immediately is under the shillelagh, but is now starting to dig in. Champagne Coast is feeling the pinch, and now London's Image takes it, puts pay to it, races away, comes home to win London's Image. Linstar gets right up on the inside late to snatch third on the line from Champagne Coast, and Smart Shadow is the last of the
Okay, tell us about it, Locke.
Clearly the best horse in the race. The market suggested that $1.35 she started in the end and settled outside the leader. looked a little green throughout, but in the end she's won by almost 2.5 lengths. A $20,000 purchase from the Magic Millions Adelaide sale. So she's also a ladies' horse, and the Magic Millions 2-year-old race is in 6 weeks' time. So Ryan will be plotting a path towards that, and I'm sure he'll be targeting the bonus. Hard to really get a good gauge on this. 4 horses all out of the same stable. All I know is that London's Image is a nice filly, and you can draw a line through that because of her form from last campaign, beaten by Angel's Impact and also Golden Vale. Clearly, she has reasonable ability.
Yeah, absolutely. She clearly has good ability. I like the look of Champagne Coast at the yard. I think she's a nice type, was always going to benefit from the run yesterday. Just gave a nice kick, but her run came to an end around the 200-metre mark. It should improve off of that effort. But one point I wanted to make about the 2-year-olds, a lot of people were saying yesterday, where are the 2-year-olds? We had a 6-horse field on Monday. We've had what was essentially a 4-horse field from the one trainer yesterday, and I'm not sure if it's the right way to go programming-wise, backing up 2-year-old races from the Monday through to the Saturday. We've been racing fortnightly so far, but now we're into the new year. I think the 2-year-olds will be racing every week. Perhaps seeing the Perth Cup was only on Monday, having another 2-year-old race 5 days later probably wasn't the best programming. And at this stage with the pool of numbers, we wouldn't want to be going more than a fortnight, I wouldn't have thought.
No, but it's going to pick up. I note, looking at the trials for Belmont tomorrow, there's a 9-horse field, an 8-horse field, an 8-horse field, an 8-horse field. Yep. So there's 20 plus.
And that's the way we've seen it in recent
going
years.
around.
I think the Magic Millions and Karrakatta Plate winners every year for the last 5 years, off the top of my head, they've all been unearthed in the calendar year post-Christmas. So I think this is when we generally see them, but perhaps a good result for Ryan Hill yesterday, but the 2-year-old races in a week wasn't ideal.
Too much for the system at this stage. By Headwater, that winner stands at Vinery for 13,200. Headwater, interestingly, was leading first season side by winners equal in 1920, champion second season sire in 2020-21. So I know you've had two. Yeah.
Honeydew and Enticing.
Yes.
Both very, very good wet trackers.
Wet trackers? By Exceeding Itself. All right. Anything else to add on that first, or let's move it on? Punters.
Move it on.
Let's go to race number 2.
Bill Knight out still by a half a length as Fiore makes a move now and goes with Filthy Habits to test this leader right out here for checks, bides its time and waits on a run for Watson. Sees a bit of daylight over near the rails and angles straight across there. Then came the rush, followed further back, All About the Crack. Filthy Habits is the leader. Here for checks is coming. The rush is down the outside with All About the Crack. It's Filthy Habits desperately ridden though in a bobbing finish, and it will get there just. Filthy Habits has won narrowly from deeper out. All About the Crack or over on the rails here for checks and the rush between them.
Well, it was a good day for Brandon and Lucy, and this was the start of it.
Great day. It was as Michael touched upon, there was a lull on course, but I think this was the highlight of the day for many to see Brandon and Lucy Fiore have their first Saturday winning double as, I guess, a partnership. Brandon hasn't been training for long, and this was his first Saturday winner, and then I Love Your Smile brought up his double. Good training performance, 1,200 up to 1,600 metres. Brandon and Lucy spoke about their concerns given the fact that he can be quite a keen horse in the run, but being able to just settle outside the leader barrier, 7 of 7, kept him out of trouble. I thought it was a reasonably nice win.
Yeah, absolutely. 1,200 to 1,600 metres. The horse was actually scratched from this race, and then when the field numbers fell right away, was reinstated. So it was
their day.
A good move there, 1,200 up to a mile as well, as we said, but I've got a feel for Here for Checks. Just continues to be knocking on the door and was held up a little bit yesterday as well. You could tell in the run, Holly really wanted to get off the fence, and Brandon Louis, I think it was, on the rush was just holding her in a pocket, and she had nowhere to go. Then she just had to bide her time, and her momentum was halted for a couple of strides on straightening, and the horse hit the line well, was only beaten ahead, but that's been the story of Here for Checks preparation. He's been going well, but hasn't been able to crack it so far. But all honours to the winner, though. Filthy Habits sat in the breeze and was able to hold on. All About the Crack hit the line better than anything, ran the fastest closing sectionals, and I guess the ended up starting favourite in Nero King. Talk us through that, Lochie, because if people weren't watching the race or weren't watching pre-race, very interesting scenes. Just flat out refused to go the barriers. You even got back on the tools on the track, trying to get him there. Lackdale jumped on, jumped off, jumped on, jumped off, and
he is a very frustrating horse. He has above average ability. I have confidence in saying he's the best horse in this race, and by some margin as well, but just for whatever reason gets to Ascot and absolutely hates it. So doesn't turn a hair at Belmont, whether that be at trials or last start when he won by almost 3 lengths. So he'll be going back to Belmont, and if he ever has to go back to Ascot, we'll have to play around with a few things to make sure he is on his best behaviour.
So he ran third at Ascot, but that's going back a couple of
interestingly,
a long time ago now.
The one time he ran third was a midweek meeting, twilight meeting, because of the heat policy, and he actually just went straight out the back. So that might be something we look at moving forward, but for now he'll be going back to Belmont.
Nothing else to report.
Oh, one here off the text line from Gavin of Sydney. He said he got quite excited watching you running up the track there at Ascot. There was footage of it.
Thanks,
beamed around the nation.
Someone got excited.
Race number 3, the Glenroy Chaff Plate. It was over the 1,400 metres.
A great run now comes off the heels of its stablemate being sent into the race, travelling up pretty well. King's Parade came away from the fence as well, then Blazing Emerald. Dynamic Miss cutting the corner. Odinaka last of all. Into the home straight, the favourite now called upon shortly after straightening to come out after Happy as Larry. Alaskan keeps coming, so does on the outside King's Parade and Blazing Emerald. It's Rocket Juice in front. Here comes King's Parade though. Rocket Juice, King's Parade, Blazing Emerald. They'll go to it, locked together, a bob of the heads. Not much in it whatsoever. King's Parade got a dive at Rocket Juice. Close up, Blazing Emerald ahead of Alaska.
Yeah, it was King's Parade just blousing Rocket Juice on the line, and Blazing Emerald and Alaska not far away back in 3rd and 4th.
Nice horse this. Darren McAuliffe's team is going really, really well at the moment, and King's Parade, it was a lovely ride from Clint Johnson-Porter, who I must say I think has just gone to a whole another level over the last 3 to 4 months. I think he's really elevated his riding. King's Parade settled 3 back the fence, travelled nicely throughout. He doesn't look an overly big horse, Michael, but he seems very, very tractable, and luckily for Clint, he just didn't break stride, was able to extricate off the fence. Blazing Emerald didn't actually travel all that well into the corner, so King's Parade was just able to get out underneath her, and from there showed a really nice turn of foot late.
Yeah, you're right. Not an overly tall horse, strong enough, and he clearly maturing as well, but he goes better than what I thought. Class 1 to a Saturday. Lovely ride by Clint, as you mentioned, but the way he finished off through the line, he was holding all of these horses, and he was quite impressive. I thought Rocket Juice was going to be really hard to beat yesterday. In the end, he was only beaten narrowly, but I thought it was his race, especially at the 200 when he hit the front. But to King's Parade's credit, I thought he knuckled down really well, and I'm going to make Blazing Emerald a follow as well. As you mentioned, didn't travel all that well in the run, but was only coming out of a last start maiden win straight to a Saturday, and is clearly eligible for a lot easier races than that, and ended up running the fastest closing sectionals of the race as well. So Blazing Emerald, I think, has a nice enough future, but outside of that, Alaskan was decent, but I Dreamed a Dream was the luckless runner of the race, which was caught behind Happy as Larry. Never really saw daylight for the entire straight, went around a $5.50 chance. Horse is clearly going well.
Absolutely, as is Steve Wolf's Yard. We'll speak about the double that transpired for the rest of the meeting, but I agree, I Dreamed a Dream. Awfully unlucky, be forgiving of that effort. He won't be far away next start in similar grade.
I really agree with those comments that you made on Clint Johnson-Porter. I think through this whole Pinnacles Perth Cup time, he's just gone to the next level. Do you agree, Michael? You being a leading jockey manager?
100%, and what could have been as well with the Gold Rush, the Perth Cup. Imagine if he had have knocked off one of those, let alone both. He was a breath away from both. He'd be would have had one of the all-time carnivals, but he still had a ripper.
And he could have a really big 2024 still. Obviously, he is he's the fashionable rider at the moment, so he's going to get good support. But then also, if someone like a Luke Fernie has intentions to travel a horse like Ripcord, I'm sure Clint will be putting up his hand to stick with him, and then all of a sudden he might be able to ride in some really big races over East as well.
I think one thing that's probably understated a little bit with Clint as well is that obviously he's Adam Durant's number one rider, but Adam's yard hasn't been going anywhere near as what it was in previous seasons. So we often see jockeys, when they have a bit of a lull, it's largely because their main stable's having a lull, but Clint's been able to overcome that and has just been riding more winners for other stables, so I think that's a credit to him as well.
Game almost over in this doubleheader Saturday, and the Steelers 17 have got the Ravens beaten 7.
Looks cold.
It is cold. It's Baltimore. It's a very cold place. Race 4. Thank you, Jay Rooney. Handicap over the 1,600 metres.
On the outside next of all is Ginger Green, hooked out 3 deep. Further back behind them, Sluice Box and then Curramundi Acting God. They turn the corner, Birdie Eagle, shot away, opens them up now, led by 2 Special View. Civvy Street gets the inside run. Heskett battles away. Acting God getting into the clear. Down the outside, Curramundi coming with a late run. Curramundi deep out, going up. The stablemate runs on. Ginger Green as well. They head Acting God. Curramundi on the outside doing better than them though. And Curramundi wins it. Curramundi scored from Acting God, Ginger Green. Sluice Box deeper out than Heskett.
It looked like it was going to be a good day on paper for the Wolfman, and Curramundi, good win coming from back in the field, beating Acting God and Ginger Green in third.
That it was. Curramundi bringing up a double. I think Steve had 6 runners there yesterday, and obviously 2 of them won, and a couple others were very unlucky. But Curramundi thought this was a nice patient ride from Braden Garth. Clearly not a horse that's really easy to handle. He doesn't have a great deal of gate speed, so he was back there last in running. But what I liked about Braden's ride is that he just ensured that the horse had plenty of galloping room. At some stages he was 3 deep down the back, but he just continued to track up that 3 deep line, ensured that he had plenty of galloping room throughout, and from there the horse did the rest.
Yeah, absolutely. The horse has been flying, and I think Steve thinks of him as more of an Albany horse, but the way he's been going, he's just continued to improve this time in for whatever reason. May have got a bit stronger, a bit more mature. The favourite, Costa Zeta, was well found, ended up starting $1.45 in the end, and there was a bit of...
You're on the wrong race, mate.
What are you doing?
We're race 4. How long has he been doing this?
Jockey manager.
Honestly.
Well, Curramundi was a good win, wasn't it? I've skipped forward one.
Yeah.
I was wondering that when you started saying Steve thinks it's only an Albany horse.
I listened to a preview today with Jake Noonan and Warren Huntley I'll give me old mate Wow up here. But for the first race of the day, Wow asked Jake Noonan and gave him the betting for the second. That was race 1. And Warren went... That's a fair effort.
Well, it's a Wolf result, regardless. Actually, he thought Acting God was a good run. Has been a little bit off the form. Out of form for a little while, but this preparation appears to have come back good. The first up run was good, very good when running fourth, and he's dropped a lot of rating points from what he was from his the peak of his career as well. So I think that he's a horse that we can be following moving forward.
Other than that, I think this is a hard race to follow, given the fact that there was 8 runners and 3.5 lengths separated all of them. Civvy Street ran last, never saw daylight in the straight. I just have my queries in regards to this as a form reference.
I suppose you want to look at it. Playing God another Saturday Quinella. What are they going to go for at the sales? Race number 5, the Amelia Park Handicap over the 1,200.
Cruising up toward the home turn, leads the way from the favourite in on the outside. Costa Zeta about to make up and now challenge this leader at the top of the straight. Keradwin coming around its heels. DT goes up 4 wide. Cable Boy 5 deep. Evelina in front, 200 left to go. Pike's hard at work on Costa Zeta. Keradwin on the outside. Cable Boy runs on. Costa Zeta, Keradwin, Cable Boy. Cable Boy on the outside of Costa Zeta. They'll go to it. Oh, I thought the bob went to Cable Boy. Maybe it's Cable Boy, but it's close. Cable Boy, Costa Zeta, nothing in it. They did get very, very close
leave this one to Michael.
Gee, Curramundi was a good win.
Lord help me ran well, I thought.
Yeah, go on, take it away.
No, we've already touched on this one, but Cable Boy is clearly come back an improved horse, laid in quite badly in the straight, and there was caused a fair bit of buffeting there. Watching the head-on vision, I think it's quite important for this race. I was really taken with Keradwin in the yard. First time I've seen her, and she's an absolute beast of a horse, and she just looked like she was could really take it up to the favourite, and she travelled into the race well, but watching that head-on, Cable Boy, which he can do, just laid in terribly and ended up putting Keradwin as the meat in the sandwich, was getting knocked around between Cable Boy and Costa Zeta and ended up having to be restrained and go back. I think she's a big, big follow. I was pretty happy with what I saw there yesterday. Costa Zeta was an interesting watch, went around $1.65 favourite, and I think was a partial victim of getting bumped around there, but overall probably still had his chance, Lock.
I think so. I think if Willie had his time again, he might have pushed the button a little bit earlier. You can look, when you watch the replay at the 200-metre mark, Cara to win is almost actually heads him, and then Costa Zeta continues to find late the further the race goes. So for mine, it was Willie's first ride on the horse, and I think if he had his time again, he may have pushed the button a little bit earlier, because through the line, he's matching it, almost passing Cable Boy. So it might have just been a little too cute from Willie, and that helped Cable Boy, who had plenty of momentum down the middle of the track.
Yeah, he looks like when he won that race, he did sit outside the leader, but his last race, that was on a Saturday, but he was in the clear a bit more. Yesterday, they mustn't have gone as hard, and the way that they just covered him was probably not to his liking as well. It was quite a short margin spread coming into the straight. I think he's a horse that if he happened to have that separation or be in the clear a bit more, he would have appreciated that. Seemed to get a little bit lost, but look, his first up run was super. Still looked good yesterday. I'll be interested to see how he goes next start, but perhaps at $1.45, you want to be seeing them get the job done. Evelina was a surprise. The barrier blanket went on yesterday after a mid-prep trial and sprung the gates to find the front. She ended up being really good. We've touched on Ceridwen. I think she's probably my biggest follow out of the meeting. And DT back in the field was just really over racing. Just had Lucy Fury had to pop out and because the horse was just overdoing it a bit, and she was probably only fair in the end, beaten a couple of lengths. And the final runner, Ollie's Choice, was playing up in the barriers, ended up missing the kick by 3 lengths, and he ran home okay, but the race was run and done by then.
What a gear change for the Costa Zeta. 28 away from 9.
Blinkers?
Sharpen him up a bit.
Yep.
He looks to be bludging a little bit to me. He's got untapped ability. I think he could really become a very good horse, but at the moment he's just not.
It's a good point. Does appear to be wandering a bit, doesn't he?
He just seems to be. I'd love to talk to Trevor about him. Is he a bit of a slowie, at home? He might be just one of those. He's taken a bit of time, and unusual for Trevor not to have gone for the blinkers by now. He's normally a blinker trainer, Trevor, so he's probably just giving him time to try and work it all out himself. But he might be just getting to that stage where he'll have to put him on and just sharpen him up a bit.
And with his ability, he may have thought that he might be able to handle these sort of grades without having to go to the blinkers yet.
Yep.
But
holding him back for another day.
Yep.
You are listening to Racing Rewind on Tab Radio Racing and Sport.
With nowhere to go. Kisses from Kelly. Gets off the fence now, though. Found a bit of room. Belgrano Bell out wider than Atlantis Beach, followed by Galarian. Into the home straight. I Love Your Smile and Kerman Rock together. 2 lengths away, Atlantis Beach and Kisses from Kelly. I Love Your Smile, the leader. Here comes Captain Pluto launching its run from right back in the field. I Love Your Smile, Captain Pluto digging in hard. On the inside, I Love Your Smile, Captain Pluto lunging, won't get there. And I Love Your Smile gives the Fioris a double today. Beat Captain Pluto at Atlantis Beach. Kisses from Kelly close up.
Says it all, a double for the Fioris, as we said earlier on. Talking point of the day. Beats Captain Pluto, flashing again. Atlantis Beach back in third.
How good was this? I thought this was a really nice ride from Lucy. Drew barrier 3. Was able to settle a little handier here yesterday afternoon, but still had to make a really long sustained run around them. I think because there was a 3-deep line and Lucy didn't want to get hemmed away in a pocket. She put I Love Your Smile into the race at around the 800-metre mark, and she had to make a long sustained gallop. But backing up off 5 days like we've seen so many times before in those colours, but in the form of Justin training, rock hard fit, was really strong all the way to the line. I thought this was a really nice win.
Absolutely. A stylish win. Had to do a bit of work, as you say, and was in and out of cover at some stages, was travelling well, and then there was that 3 wide no cover horse, Galarian, who just was edging towards Lucy, and it looked as though she was pretty keen not to be held in a pocket by her, so by that horse. So she made the right call to pop out, put her horse into the race, and with that conditioning under the belt, was just too strong over the final stages. I thought Captain Pluto, who went around favourite still, had virtually every chance, to be honest. Didn't really spend a penny through the early and middle stages, tracked into the race well, got a nice card up by Atlantis Beach, probably made the turn a little wide, but still balanced up nicely and had his chance to run the winner down. But just couldn't do it. So, look, he's going okay, probably paying the bills, so he's a nice enough horse to own, but I think as a betting proposition, $2.70 chance, I'm just happy to put him to one side and perhaps tiptoe around him a little bit.
I agree. You look at his 4 runs here in WA so far. He started $2.50 favourite, ran second, $1.95 favourite, ran third, $3 favourite, ran fifth, and as you said, he was $2.70 favourite yesterday and ran second. So,
and the one thing that gets me about him, he's had 8 starts on a good track, 0 wins, 5 placings, 1 win on a soft, 1 win on a heavy.
Yep.
So I think he could be a really good Belmont horse, one of those good Belmont stayers that you see could string, 3 Saturday wins in a row together, but on top of the ground at Ascot, happy enough just to tiptoe around him.
And by that stage, it would be his second campaign with Grant Alana.
Yep,
so
absolutely.
I think that's a really
I'm not dropping off him completely. Perhaps another, a second prep with the horse, softer track, next prep. But this prep, I'm happy to put him to one side. Atlantis Beach is going well. Big drop in grade yesterday. Thought he performed really nicely, and he can be, if he can keep going around in these type of races, he could actually be a follow. And Kisses from Kelly settled a bit more handier from the good draw yesterday and ran better than her price would have suggested. This race was probably run a little bit differently to a lot of people's expectations, with Kerman Rock just crossing to the breeze rather than going to the front. But that horse ended up being beaten 7 lengths. But all in all, I think the winner was just superior, had to do a bit of work and was too good.
Now, I'm not saying he's a Casino 17, but Casino 17's first 5 runs for Alana and Grant, third, second, fourth, second. So just maybe be a little bit more patient than, as you said, you're just putting him to the side, you're not putting him in the bin yet.
Yeah, absolutely. But then he ended up, did he end up winning Runnings races, then Country Cups in that first prep still, didn't he?
Yep. We're going to be the flag bearers for the horse in winter on the wet tracks.
Race number 7, the Print Hall Handicap. Good things happened at the Print Hall, they tell me, over the 1,400 metres.
EPC, who looked to be cruising, following Pearly Nugget to the turn. Behind them, Plays with Fire, comes away from the fence, then Vitalise. Fluoro Neuro well back as they turn the corner. Looks led at the top of the home straight. Over on the outside, Eurasia second. Now EPC, Pearly Nugget join in. Mystic Jane is further back. Plays with Fire struggling. EPC reaches the lead. Mystic Jane is in hot pursuit, but it's EPC clear close to home from Mystic Jane and EPC. EPC salutes over Mystic Jane, Pearly Nugget, Fluoro Neuro. Might have got...
EPC, 2 from 3 this campaign, beats Mystic Jane, Pearly Nugget and Fluoro Neuro back in fourth.
A really nice horse and a really nice ride from Chris Pineham. He looked like he might have been caught out on a limb in the first 300 metres of the race, but fortunately for Chris, Plays with Fire just wasn't able to hold her spot on what looked like a nice hot tempo set by Rogue's Point, and looks that allowed Chris to slot in, and from there, didn't he travel with some authority? He let down really well. I just really like him as a horse. Obviously, there's a small query on him because of the fact that he's bled previously, but from what he's shown this campaign, he is just going from strength to strength, and he won with a leg in the air yesterday.
He certainly did. I think he goes really well, and he can progress right through the grades, this horse. I didn't actually realise Chris dropped his whip until I read the steward's report just then, but that was at the 50-metre mark. The horse had the race sewn up by then, though, but interviewing Neville yesterday pre-race, he didn't really... I asked him if he plans on limiting the horse's runs this prep, considering the issue he's had previously, and he said that he's shown no signs of that, and sometimes horses can have a bleed for whatever reason, but he doesn't really show any other signs of being a bleeder. So hopefully that is the case, and he can have a successful career, because he's clearly got super ability, and as you said, really good ride by Chris to slot in there as well. The runner-up, Mystic Jane, has been ticking along quite nicely. Liked the run of Pearly Nugget, and also Fluoro Neuro just had to switch back to the inside to get the right card into the race. There wasn't really a run to lose his outside, so she switched back, and I thought he hit the line really well. He actually ran home in the fastest closing splits over 1,400.
With 60 kilos on his back, and he's still a fairly fine type. I don't think the 60 kilos would have been to his liking, so potentially up in grade, less weight. I think Fluoro Neuro can bounce back and show the turn of foot that he showed last start.
Plays with Fire started favourite or equal favourite, and was playing up in the mounting yard, which is a little bit uncharacteristic for her.
Should have heard our man Martin. He declared it, said, won't run top 3, ran 7th.
Plays with Fire?
Yep.
Yeah, she's just playing up. Looked as though it could be of end of prep the way she was in the mounting yard, pig rooting, and just didn't seem her usual self. So that was going to be a little bit of a query, and she ran up to that. But she's had a good campaign, really good campaign. So I dare say she'd be off to the paddock now, and we'll see her again next time in. Good to see her come back from those injuries she's had earlier in her career.
Race number 8, the main event of the day, the Easingwold Stakes over the 1400.
Heights right back in the field. He's riding it with a bit of desperation coming into the turn, yielding a bit of ground from Cheval de Varga. Vast Art, Titan Blinders. Big screen though, wheels at the top of the straight, a length and a half in front. Flying Missile and Bruce Almighty. Laurentinio the rail. Let's Galahvant starts to let down further back. Titan Blinders, Vast Art, Weapon Sun looking for a run. It's like the charge of the Light Brigade. Let's Galahvant. And now here comes Vast Art. Let's Galahvant, Vast Art. Let's Galahvant. Let's Galahvant has just held Vast Art in a great finish. Bruce Almighty behind them with Titan Blinders.
Terrific finish, terrific horse. He's had a wonderful couple of years, this horse, Let's Galahvant. His trainer is Ben Pearce, along with brother Dan, and Ben joins us right now. G'day, Benny.
Yeah, good morning, guys.
Good morning, Ben. Congratulations on yesterday's win of the Easingwold Stakes. This horse is just an absolute marvel. You must have to pinch yourself every time he just produces on race day.
Yeah, he's just been super for us. Just having a horse that you go to the races and he's going to try his best every time he goes around. He's like we've always thought of him as a battler. Like he doesn't come across to us at home in his work like he's blessed with a ton of ability, but he gets there on the day and he tries his hardest every time he goes around.
He's won 3 stakes races now, Ben, and yesterday was a $100,000, not a black type race, but still a feature. Where to now? I see that there's another race in a couple of weeks, and it's a maximum 60 kilo top weight. Would you go again with the extra kilo?
Look, I think we'll bypass that. Dan's away, but I just had a chat to him this morning, and I think he's going to go up a kilo there, carry the 62, and go into the mile as well. Like a horse like Vast Art was taking ground off him late yesterday, and sort of with an extra kilo, whether those tables are turned, and with a horse that just tries so hard every time he goes around, we don't want to give him a task that's beyond him and break him along the way. So we'll have a good look through and have a chat to the handicappers and see what his best options are. But our thought at this stage is probably looking at going to the Pinjarra Classic and Bunbury Stakes. We're 7 weeks off that, so he could have a couple of weeks in the paddock and have a bit of a freshen there and look at those couple of races and then look at having a good spell over the winter.
Ben, yesterday after the race, you said to me in the post-race interview that the horse just seemingly absolutely loves being in work, and he's had some respiratory issues throughout his career. Are you mindful of that in this, I guess, next 7 to 8 week period where he might have to go out?
Yeah, for sure. So he'll go down to Fort John Park down there with Nigel Reid, and they can keep up with his respiratory program, and that'll keep him in good health. And it's definitely something that we're mindful of. Although he's been in work for 12 months, he has had a couple of stints in between where he's gone 5 and 6 weeks between runs, and we've just kept him ticking over here at the stables. And so they're having the facilities that we've got with the nice grass paddocks and the beach. We're able to give him a bit of a freshen without leaving the stables. So I think that's the benefit that we've got with a horse like him.
Yeah, just looking back, April it all started for in this campaign. Ben, 17 starts he's had, includes a very unlucky second in the Hannans, and as Michael said, 3 stakes wins. You won a Northern Cup, a Carbine Club, and now an Easingwold. It's a terrific effort, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. And like going back before the Hannans, like his coat just started to turn a few weeks before the Hannans. We felt like he had, I think he was about 7 runs in by that time, and we were just starting to be happy with where he was at. He'd just found some form, and his coat was coming good, and we were thinking, oh, he's coming good at the right time, and so he does take those few runs to get to where we need him. And now he's got to that point. He's just maintained it for a long time, so it's been super.
It would have been an ask 5 days later, but were you kicking yourself a little bit about not nominating Sinful Living when you saw the 4-horse 2-year-old race yesterday?
Yeah, it was something that was mentioned, but not seriously considered. Like, she's a horse with a lot of ability, and we didn't want to be too greedy and go too hard with her at this stage. With the Magic Millions only a month off, so yeah, she's down at Fort John Park. She's having a quiet week or two down there, and then she'll be back in the stables. But yeah, she's done a super job for a cheap horse that's got such a big return in a short space of time. I think it's only about a 6 or 7 month turnaround from the Perth Winter Sales, where we paid I think it was about 10 grand for her, and yeah, she's got a massive return.
2 runners at Bunbury today, Ben. Zing to Win and Ultimate Style. Is there a winner amongst them?
They're both good chances. I think Ultimate Style is probably the better of the two. Zing to Win, he's showing glimpses of form. Yeah, his last run was disappointing, but he may be able to bounce back to form. But yeah, probably Ultimate Style's the better of the two.
Okay, Ben, thanks for coming on Racing Rewind today. All the best.
No worries, thanks.
There is Ben Pearce. Talk about the race. Just before we do, why don't we hear from the beaten jockeys?
And Jules.
Steve Parnham, Flying Missile.
Her draw was awkward, so it was always going to be a bit of a tricky map. When she jumped really quick, I just went forward. It would have been nice to get a bit of cover just to help her get the 14. I thought she toughed it out pretty well.
William Pike, Starry Heights.
Yeah, a bit uncharacteristic run for him.
Geordie Turner, Titan Blinders.
Yeah, he ran all right. He sort of didn't get the nicest card up into it, but if he had a better card up, he would have run third, so it was a good run.
Thank you. Jason Brown, Laurentinio.
Yeah, one of his better runs for a while. He just probably needed a little bit more room behind big screen. He probably runs third or fourth.
Cheers. Jade McNaught, Bruce Almighty.
Yeah, very honest effort.
Clint Johnston Porter, Vast Art.
Yeah, just stiff. That winner's quite tough. I thought I had it covered, and yeah, when I loomed up outside of it, he held me off nice and strong.
Thank you. Lactar Rumley, Cheval de Vega.
Not a bad run. Couldn't get a run, and yeah, just held up all the way.
Thank you. Holly Watson, Weapon Son.
Yeah, I thought he was really honest. He was getting his best work late.
Thank you. Troy Turner, Big Screen.
Yeah, really courageous effort again.
And Michael Poy, Cold Chisel.
Good run. Probably barrier 1 didn't suit down to a T. Angled out, but the winner was just going too good and was able to hold us in.
There it is, beaten jockeys. And look, let's Galahvant. You have a look at it. 5.5 kilos it gave Vasta. Big effort, wasn't it?
Absolutely. And did the same in the Boxing Day Dash last start and held him through the line. So I think, I'm not sure about Vast Start. He clearly has good ability and look like he'll probably go around favourite and be hard to beat in that race. As Ben said, they step up another 100 metres, I think it is, in a fortnight's time in the next edition of the race. But yeah, I don't know. Through the winter, I thought Vast Start could eventually progress into a railway stakes type of horse, but that's 2 races in a row now where Let's Galahvant's carried 5.5 kilos more, held him, clearly been superior, and Let's Galahvant's not one of our top liners, so just a little unsure about Vast Start now in terms of whether he can progress right to that top level like what he looked like he could during the winter.
I agree. I still think he's going to be awfully hard to beat now that Let's Galahvant is going to bypass this next race in this series. He's going to go around at a very short quote, Vast Start. I suspect he's nearly even money in that type of race. The disappointment out of yesterday was Starry Heights. Started 2:15, was an alarming drifter in the last 5 minutes of betting, and just never at any stage picked up the bridle. Found the line okay to be beaten 3.5 lengths, but just didn't travel into the race at all. Absolutely.
Scotty Embry made a good point to us off air straight after the race, saying that this will have been the first time he's ever been in a race that's gone above benchmark. He's always been in slowly run races and has just essentially run over the top of his rivals. But yesterday, with big screen engaged, the speed was on. He probably hadn't ever seen that type of tempo before, but watching the replay a couple of times, I think he was still a little bit too bad to be true. If he was gone he did come his last 200, but the race was done by then. I think if it was just tempo related, he may have run a 4th or a 5th beaten length and a half type of run, but he was too bad to be true yesterday, the way how badly he was travelling into the straight. I think there must have been something amiss.
I agree. In the same sense, I think I'm just going to be a little bit more mindful with Vast Start, because Clint Johnston Porter, in the first 200 metres of the race, when he found the back of Starry Heights, he would have been thinking, oh, this is great, this horse is going to take me right into the straight. He didn't at all. He actually dragged Vastart further back in the field and he had to loop all the way around him. Just watching that replay again, I'm just going to be a little more forgiving of Vastart.
I'd be more guided by the drift.
Yeah.
You? Than
28 days between runs, out the door.
Things like that.
Looked good.
Michael still tipped it, but Mark.
Well, so did a lot of people still tip it. But, as you said, the horse was never comfortable in the run.
No, it was niggling at him a long way out, so something amiss. Titan Blinders was a good run, but he's a very hard horse to catch, but clearly the best performance he's put in for a while. I think there's a huge amount else to touch on this race. I dare say we'll see a very similar lineup in a fortnight's time.
Okay, boys, from the text line, how long since Willie hasn't had a winner on a Saturday from Purple Dogger?
A couple of weeks ago he was suspended. You like that one, boys?
Fair while you did, I think.
I put Captain Pluto in the bin because he was last fave number of the day, favourite number 22. I had 6 numbers, bar him. That's from Percy. He's not happy. It's cost him the favourite numbers.
Tom?
I can't see Tom playing favourite numbers.
Or listening to us.
Oh, no, he listens. Yeah, no, make no mistake about that. Race number 9, the Bisley Workwear handicap. It was over the 1,000 metres. Another upset here.
And swim through at the rear of the field. They're burning turf in the last. At the 400, Ain't No Other Man spins the corner. A length and a half on Washu. And now Divine Belief tracks away from the inside. Gets into the clear to set after them. But Ain't No Other Man still with a handy lead by the 200 over Washu. Divine Belief tested. Ain't No Other Man, Washu. Here comes Harmika. It's starting to jump right out of the ground on the outside Nahachi, but Harmika reaches the lead, and Harmika won the last narrowly from Nahachi. Divine Belief third. In behind them came Ain't No Other Man, Washu, Honeydew running.
Well, there it is, Divine Belief, $1.60. She was beaten. Harmika and Nahachi fighting it out.
Great ride this. Harmika is absolutely flying. Was back in the second half of the field, and I think they just rolled along so much to the point that Clint Johnson-Porter had to make a decision. Rounding out to the home turn, do I go out and follow a horse like Lexington City into the race, or do I go in and ride for luck? And in the end, I think that was the winning move. If he goes around them, I don't think he quite gets there, given the fact that the margin was so small with Nahachi. And when the gaps came, when she's able to just be held up for a run, she absolutely explodes late, like we saw last start, and we saw that again there yesterday.
Condolences to the duck as well. Did you see that at the turn?
Yeah.
Have you seen that, Mart? Oh, Wayne Carey, gone.
You're not on, Mart.
So a few of them have gone over the years.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Copped an absolute hiding there. But, yeah, really good win. Back to 1,000 metres. Harmika looked fantastic, racing fantastic, and another really good ride by Clint. I'm not sure of the figures out of the race, but they did appear to roll along a bit, and Divine Belief, given that, perhaps she was... had the sprint taken out of her a little bit, but you'd still like to think that $1.50 favourite would probably go a bit closer lock.
Yeah, I agree. Had like a
Nahachi beat her home.
Yeah, exactly. And essentially Nahachi was in a very similar position to her at the top of the straight.
60-1.
Yeah, I thought more or less had a
and carried 3 kilos more than her.
Had a fairly unimpeded run into the corner and just didn't quite let down. Maybe this time of year the tracks are just a touch too firm for her, for a horse that has feet issues, as David Harrison had touched upon a couple of times throughout the week.
Honeydew was good.
Really good. Has come back better this time in. It's just a stronger mare. Steve was really happy with her 2 trials in the lead up to yesterday and was very happy with yesterday's run as well.
Her last 100. I'm not going to make her a follow just yet. I want to see her again just because she does have such a good wet track record, but I thought that was the best run she's produced on top of the ground probably since she's been here.
Okay. That's it for the last?
That's it.
Just looking at the duck, it was sound asleep. It was asleep.
He was just minding his own business.
Just a bit switched on.
Yeah, I know.
Well, there was actually one duck that went in.
Yeah, and the other one just was asleep on the job when it went the wrong way.
Forgot to yell out to its
sitting down like he was playing Duck, Duck, Goose.
On Racing Rewind, It is time for the boys to look back and determine who are the black bookers, the ones to be on next start, the horses to follow.
All right, up to the plate, Lockie.
2 for me. I Dreamed a Dream, very unlucky yesterday, and EPC, just keep following him.
I'm very keen to follow Keridwin wherever she goes next, and also Blazing Emerald, eligible for a lot easier races. Thought that was a good run from a maiden to a Saturday yesterday.
She really impressed you in the yard, didn't she, the big girl?
Absolutely.
Keridwin?
Yep.
Okay, what about a winner or two at Bunbury? Anyone done any form down there?
Oh, Scotty Embry is the man today on form, but Snippy Witch you'd think should be very hard to beat. $2.35 in the second last race. Has been racing in Saturday races, dropping right back to a Class 1 today. And with Dreamers Never Die in the race, is in the black still, $2.35.
Big week coming up, of course, with the Magic Million sales on the Gold Coast. Big day of racing there next Saturday. Doesn't get much bigger than that, so there's plenty to come on Tab Radio this week. 3 NBA games underway now. The Celtics 58 leading the Pacers 42. Knicks on the back up. Wow, 56, giving it to the Wizards 30. And Jazz 25 are leading the 76ers on the back up, who lost to the Knicks yesterday 20. So that is it for the NBA. That is it for the Aftermath and Racing Rewind. Thanks for coming in today, lads. It's always fun.
Thank you, Mark. Good luck on the Gold Coast.
To take us through the morning into the afternoon. Time for news. Thanks to So.